Another 4 o'clock stream. So today we're talking about basically, F scaling. I just want to have a company, and I titled this because truth is that scaling a woodworking business is almost the hardest thing there is. It is so difficult, especially if you're doing something like custom furniture. It's one thing if you're like production-based product. That can be a little bit easier because there's known drawings, materials are known, thicknesses are known, the capabilities of machines, there's so many knowns that you can reproduce something over and over again with fair predictability. There's not a lot of variables. But you go to custom furniture, and man, it's just you have to have really skilled people to scale that company. And truth is that it's really difficult. I tried really hard during COVID. I had so much business going in, and it was either I could raise my prices substantially and in order to throttle sales, or I could just hire as many people as I can, work everyone to death, and just take on every project and try and deliver it all on time. And of course I chose the latter because why not? If I would have just raised my prices in the beginning of COVID to slow traffic down, it would have, I probably would have made a fortune, but I didn't do that. And so that's kind of what I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna talk about scaling a furniture company and why it's really difficult. And you're seeing a lot of people right now on Instagram, Facebook, talking about scale your woodworking business, $0 to $4 million in 4 days. And you're seeing people, if I only knew these tricks, I'd be a millionaire. And most of it's bullshit. And I'll tell you guys why. I'm gonna give you the story, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what all the sales in the world do to you. It makes you broke. It takes all your money, it takes all your time. And anyway, it was just very difficult. So anyway, my name's Eric. Welcome. I own the Splendid Grow here in St. Louis, Missouri. We're a small furniture company. We do about 500 pieces a year, and we're a small 7-figure business. And it's a very good company. We high gloss lacquer and paint furniture as well. We're known for our high gloss lacquer finish, and we're kind of one of the pioneers of this particular industry, and it's been really good to us. But it's been very hard. Running a furniture company and a paint company is very difficult, but it's one of these things that's super rewarding. That's one of the things I try and get through to the people in this cast is that we're not trying to sell you anything other than to give you kind of a behind the scenes look at what it is to run a furniture company, which is why like on Fridays, I show you guys what's in the shop. I show you what we got done. I show you what's worked during the week. I show you what has not worked during the week. I show you things that we failed at, and just a little bit of everything. That way you guys can kind of see what a real woodworking business is like. Because I honestly, I'm a little bit frustrated with the content that I find on YouTube. The people that are super popular on YouTube aren't giving you a good image of what being a woodworker really is. And, I know there's lots of kinds of woodworkers. But anyway, so you guys can help me right off the bat since y'all are here. I've got 2 pieces of material here. So we got a piece of this mahogany. So I've got an 8-foot buffet that I have to make. And so I got to figure out if we're going to make this using this mahogany, which is pretty nice, or we've got this piece of sapele here. Right, so mahogany and sapele are very similar. You'll notice like they're very similar. The only difference really is that mahogany is going to have a little more of a tighter grain than your sapele, right? And they're both nice woods. Sapele is going to be a little bit cheaper than mahogany, but anyway, customer wants a crazy piece of flamed crotch mahogany across the front of the sideboard, and then they want a credenza foyer, which is in the vein of the piece I have behind me right here. They want this one's made of walnut, but they want one that's made of mahogany, and then it has the crotch mahogany flame cathedral pattern along the front. So each sheet of crotch mahogany is $1,300, right? So yeah, those are expensive pieces of furniture. About $8,000 a pop. So what I'm charging for those. So anyway, we all kind of know walnuts. Walnuts pretty expensive. Walnuts about, I don't know, maybe $14 a board foot. I think mahogany is running about 11, but the veneer is the big difference, right? You can get a sheet of walnut veneer for $200, but try and get a piece of that freaking crotch mahogany. $1,300 was the cheapest that I found from a company called oakveneers.com, and they sell all kinds of veneers. Great company. If you're ever needing veneer, I bought a bunch of olive ash burl wood from them, like I want to say maybe 2 or 3, probably 3 years ago, and did a big massive credenza for a home, and it was like Jupiter Island, I think, down there in Florida. But anyway, cool piece. So anyway, back to the topic at hand. Told you guys who I am, what I do, and what I'm trying to do here. We're talking about scaling, right? And truth is that everyone's talking about scaling, and scaling a furniture company is just, man, it is rough. It is so rough. So what, I don't want to scale anymore. Like I gave up on that idea, right? So I'm not scaling anymore. I'm not trying to scale, meaning I'm not trying to make my company bigger. What I am trying to do is I'm trying to grow my revenue streams. You know, and what I mean by that is instead of just trying to sell, so here, I mean, here's the numbers, guys. I'll just give you all the numbers real quick. Let's say hi real quick. All right, who do we got here? We got Martha Estrada said hi. Hello, Martha. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in and contributing to the conversation. Let us know what you're at, what you do. And like I said, I do a lot of back and forth on here with people because I hope eventually we'll get through the riffraff and we'll get to the people that are actually interested in furniture, vintage furniture, starting companies, you know, all the BS that goes with running a company. And that's kind of the intent of this cast. All right, man with no name, in case I don't see you again, happy Easter. Yes, happy Easter, everyone. You know, happy holidays for those of you that don't like the Easter term. But anyway, yeah, everyone have a good holiday, and you know, hopefully everyone gets to relax. You know, it's really important to do that on Easter and spend time with family. And yeah, well, I'll do the family conversation one day. I'm kind of a black sheep when it comes to family. Okay, so we got Curtis. Curtis said hi. Hello, Curtis. Yes, good to meet you too. And like everyone, hit the like button, guys. It really helps the algorithm. We're trying to grow this channel. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get this thing monetized, so that I can kind of have a back-end channel, you know, for like $1 a month that will go through all the numbers of a company, right? So I do a little bit of this on my Instagram. I have a subscription on Instagram, and it's very hard to get people to jump platforms, right? So I don't like cross-promote or anything like that, but I do have one on Instagram, which I already start to put the business stuff over there on the subscriber side, but I really would like to do that for YouTube. So anyway, back to the topic at hand, then we'll go through more comments. Okay, so truth is that I'm not trying to scale anymore. I just want to grow revenues. Okay, so here's the numbers. So in let's see, 2020, right before the pandemic happened, we were doing regularly. We do $50,000 a month. It was kind of our ceiling was like 50, our floor was like 30. So it kind of resided in like a $20,000 range every month. And that was my wife just selling vintage furniture. That's all we sold. We sold vintage furniture off the resplendentpro.com, and we would paint it in we had, at the time, I think we had 3,000 square feet here. We only had a little portion of this building. Now we have the whole thing. But truth is that we were doing about $50K a month, and it was a good living. I had like, I want to say 6 or 7 guys working for me, and truth is that we could pay them all cheap money. I mean, I was paying the guys like $10 an hour, and they were happy as could be. They liked that they could kind of come and go whenever they wanted, and they got to, you know, blast out their music, and you know, we just gave everyone like days off, and we'd give out bonuses and stuff like that. We didn't have any benefits, you know. It was, like I said, it was kind of a modest place to work. I mean, for real, it really was. But point is those are the sales numbers back then. Okay, so fast forward to the pandemic hits, and everything stopped 100% for like, I want to say a good 2 weeks. It was just nothing. And we assumed we were out of business. I mean, we absolutely thought we were done, and we were thinking about how we're going to get other jobs. I was going to go back into aerospace. My wife was going to, she didn't know what the hell she was going to do because she didn't want to go back to her old job, you know, but truth is that we were freaking out there for a little bit, and we just kept kind of trying to figure out what we're going to do. And then eventually the sales kind of started to come back a little bit. And then every month, for at least a year, if not 18 months, sales went up every single month. So we were doing 30 to 50,000 a month, and it culminated in doing $272,000 a month in sales, right? And that's like a 5x in revenue every month. And to a lot of people, that sounds amazing. And it's like, man, how do you do that? And this is with no advertising. So during COVID, we spent $0. And when I say zero, I mean zero. And right now, most months I spend $5,000-ish, maybe $5,000 to $7,000, and that's kind of what it works. That's what you have to do to kind of keep pinging people, right? Because as an online internet-based company, you have to always be pinging people. You know, it's not that they're going to see it and like click on your ad right away, but you know, the 20 or 30th time they see that thing, you know, it gets kind of embedded in their mind, and then they'll be thinking about, you know, furniture at some point if they're seeing those ads, because Google and Meta are really good at knowing who's looking for furniture and when. Eventually they'll remember you and they'll click on your website. And once they click on your website, there's the potential to make a sale, right? So that's kind of the back end thing. But anyway, so we fast forward, you know, we're doing 200 and let's call it 250,000 in sales, and we've got more work than we know what to do with. And so every month as those sales are increasing, right, it's like, oh, this is amazing. We got so much money. I got, you know, $700,000 in my bank. I've never had so much money in my life. You know, I'm just like, I'm sleeping on $100 bills. I'm thinking that I'm just the freaking man. And truth is that I was hiring people so fast. At one point, I had 16 people sanding furniture. And these people are working an average of 60 to 80 hours a week, okay? And that's 7 days a week. That's what we had to do in order to keep our 10 to 12 week, I think we're 8 to 10 weeks was our turnover, okay? So that's the labor side, Okay, now you have to deliver furniture, right? You can't just, someone buys it, we paint it, and then they come pick it up. None of my customers pick up their furniture. And all of my customers are on the East Coast, right? Or they're down in Dallas, or they're in Chicago. Some are in the West Coast, but not very many. But truth is, today you got to deliver all this stuff. Okay, so you go from needing a Sprinter van that you're running all over the country in, which is fairly cheap. 10 miles a gallon when it comes to diesel. You go to using 26-foot trucks, which get 3 miles to the gallon. And you're driving those things all the way up to Maine, and then down the East Coast, all the way down to Florida. And you're doing runs that will take a week. Now we do runs that might take 2 or 3 days, maybe 4 days. But point is that the cost of everything just started escalating so much, and there was no supply of anything, so the prices on everything was going up. So even though I was bringing in more money than I ever brought in, for every $250,000 a month I would bring in revenue, I would send out $275, right? And that's what happened. And when you have so much cash coming in and so much action with furniture coming in, furniture leaving, vendors coming in, hiring people, you lose sight of all of these things. And even though your numbers look like they're doing really good, you've got so much cash in your bank account, it slowly starts to go away, and that's what happened. And truth is that eventually when COVID was over, if things would finally ramp down, we kind of gotten a little bit back to normal, we're actually able to look at everything. We're able to look at the whole kit and caboodle, as they say. And truth is that we made no money, $0, zero, and that's, it's a damn shame. But that is why I do this cast. It's to show people that when everyone tries to tell you all you need is the marketing, all you need is the right product, all you need is my course, buy my thing and it's going to make you a millionaire and all your dreams are going to come true. Got to be careful, because like I said, my wife's got 2 degrees. I've been in manufacturing for 20 years and we couldn't figure this thing out. The only way we figured it out was to be knee deep in the shit, as they say. It was the only way we could figure out. And I hope that people can learn it a little less crazy than we did. But the truth is that you can do it. And it's the best lessons are learned when you're knee deep in it, like when you're just swimming through shit. It's the best time to learn something. And the truth is you only learn it at the end. It's very hard to learn it while you're in it. And that's just my experience, So that's kind of why I don't really want to scale my business, right? So now let's fast forward to today, okay? I'm gonna give you guys the numbers today. All right. So I talked about when I started the business at the peak, and now we'll talk about what's going on today, okay? So I made no money in COVID, 0. And the truth is I guess I should back up here. But prior to the pandemic, right, when sales had just dropped off, when we would do $30,000 to $50,000, that would put $10,000 in our pocket in profit every month, right? So that's pre-pandemic, $10,000 a month. That's good money in my book. We were super happy with that. Okay, so $250,000 a month, no money made. Okay, so go to the comments. I'll give you the next step. Okay, what do we got here? So we got Cole Murray in here. Cole, good to see you, man. Are you religious? No, I'm not religious. I'm not. I'm kind of an agnostic kind of person. I believe that if you do good things in life, good things will happen to you in death. And I do believe there is an afterlife, and I do believe that there's. I don't think it's over when you die. And I think that it's just really important that you don't be a piece of shit during life, because you don't know what's coming next, man. And let's just say I'm wrong, right? And there is nothing. Like I don't want to take that chance. So I kind of leave it at that. My family's all Catholic. So I'm not that religious, but I have, there's something there for sure. So, all right, it's Cole Murray. So we got Elka. You are the best. Yeah. Elka, thank you so much. I don't know if I'm the best, but like I said, I just want people to know that there's real stuff out here and there's real people that'll talk about their business, and it's not all like, oh, I'm balling out of control. I've got my Lambos and my freaking badass house, and I got 10 girls and 10 guys and whatever it is. Like, it's not like that. Like, the success is honestly just keeping your company. The success is, seeing your employees, get new cars and new houses and talk about their kids and get to go on vacation. And like, in my experience, like, that's about as good as it gets. Like, yeah, you can have nice things, and man, I've had them all, but I've had to sell a lot of them too, because in learning to keep my business going, one of the greatest lessons you can learn is that it's not about you. And trust me, that's why I always tell you, like, you can't do it alone. a lot of people think that they can just sit in their garage and make a comfortable living and make furniture, and maybe you can, but I can't figure it out, and it just wasn't able to happen for me. So okay, thank you, Elka. All right, Colmer has subscribed, watch your videos, you're amazing. Please, can I take videos like this? Yeah, and I'll keep doing these. I'm trying to. Most days I will do a stream at 4 o'clock because I like to have a beer. And I don't have one today, but I like to have a beer, and then I like to go back to work for a couple hours. And that's what I like to do. I do a stream Friday, which shows everyone what's in the shop. I usually do it between 10 and noon, something like that. I don't have a set time because I'm very busy, but I'm trying to do it then. And we can see the furniture and talk about what's worked, what hasn't worked. I'll show you guys all the things that I've effed up and the things that I'm really proud of and whatever. So that's kind of what I have going on. Then Sundays I try and just talk about a piece of furniture, whether it's looking at the construction, the design behind it, whether it's vintage or new or whatever. I mean, just whatever I feel like talking about related to the actual, like a piece of furniture. So if there's pieces that people want to talk about, you can hit me up. If there's topics that people want me to talk about, I'm happy to talk about them. I'll try and plan the streams. I'm learning that in the stream thing, people really want you to kind of pre-plan things, like this is what I'm going to talk about in 2 days, and this is the topic, and this is the time, and in 3 days I'm going to put this out there, and a schedule is kind of important, so I'm learning those things. So that's kind of what I'm doing right at the moment. And yeah, if there's pieces of furniture that people want to see built, I have a lot of videos on my YouTube page that is all kinds of furniture that we make here, and I'm trying to show people how to fix lacquer, how to spray lacquer, how to polish lacquer, get that mirror shine, chicks love that stuff. Anyway, so okay, next person, myself, Kim, how's it going? So Kim, Kim, nice to meet you. Looks like I think that's called kanji. I forget what all that stuff means exactly, but yeah, nice to meet you. Thank you for joining the stream and yeah, bring out your comments and we're happy to discuss them. Again, guys, hit the like button, all that kind of good stuff. And then we got okay, Mike, escape velocity. Yeah, escape velocity is tough, Mike. And I talk about escape velocity quite a bit, and the truth is, Mike, and I mean, you probably know this way, you can't reach escape velococity on your own. At least I don't think you can. You need people around you. You need employees that can do it. For anyone that's in the stream right now, Mike's a guy who used to work for me, used to paint for me a couple of years back, and good dude, has his own painting business. He did what I did. He took the plunge and is starting his own thing, and he's realizing that it's really freaking hard, and and it's wonderful, but at the same time it's scary, and it can keep you up at night, and it's you probably lose a couple of years of your life trying to run your own thing, but it's super rewarding, So anyway, so yeah, good to see you, Mike. I appreciate you hanging out. All right, we got FBI here. I've identified numerous violations in accordance with your IP address. We'll be removing your account. Okay, great. Well, thanks, FBI. Okay, so we'll get back to our discussion. Okay, the discussion is, again, of course, I'm done scaling. Okay, so I told you guys where we're. Okay, so today it's what is this? April. We're in April 2025. So today, the way the sales kind of thing works now is our sales will go from anywhere from, I'd say, $60,000 a month all the way up to $100,000. So there's a little bit of a wider range, but we're not hitting near the crazy numbers we were hitting during COVID. And the truth is that what we've done is we've taken all of the knowledge that we gained from processing tons of pieces, from having to procure so much stuff. And have a good one, Al. Procure tons of material, new materials, there's all just the transportation, everything. We've taken all that and we've slimmed it down to what we're good at. So we're no longer chasing work like we used to. We're not taking on any kinds of work. We're very particular about what we do. So now when I have a month where, like say I have this good month of 100,000, right? 100,000 is going to net me probably 30-ish thousand, somewhere there. I mean, if everything goes right, there's months where I don't get any freaking money, to be quite honest with you. That's a whole other thing. I mean, Mike, you know this. When you're on your own business, one month you could do everything perfect and the stars align and you make money, and you can have the exact same thing happen next month and you make no goddamn money, right? Because this went wrong and that went wrong. This person didn't show up, that material was bad, whatever it might be, the customer was gone, I didn't get paid, this is the nature of business. So, when you're scaling up, you have to deal with all that shit times 10. And so now I don't do that, right? So I'm not trying to scale my business anymore. It's not that I gave up, I just decided that it wasn't quite worth the effort of trying to do that. So I hope this makes sense to people. I wrote down a couple things on my sheet here, but I also said that instead of trying to scale up my business, we're gonna try and grow revenue streams, right? So revenue streams are just different ways to make money. So I'll talk about those for a second. But I want to go through my notes here real quick to make sure that I don't miss any things. I wrote down and I put marks around it. All the easy money is wasted, right? And I genuinely believe this. As in my years of being in business, any money that was ever given to me, I wasted. And the examples that I'll give you guys are EIDL money during COVID. Everyone got that money. Everybody wasted it, including me. We all pissed that money away. And guess what? You're all paying for it, right? Through inflation. The value of the dollar is worth less. And truth is I could have made it. You know, it was really rough, but I would have done just fine. You know, but having all that money was it made me do dumb things. Okay, here's something. So the dumbest thing I did during COVID with all that money, I spent $30,000 to try and make a YouTube show like the Kardashians. Right, I hired a video company, a photography company, and they came in and worked with the crazy cameras, and they did all kinds of, you know, weird shit, and we were gonna like literally do like a freaking, it was just all the rage. Everything was YouTube. Everyone was doing big channels and all that kind of stuff, and it was fun and it was exciting, but man, it was expensive. I wasted all of that money. It was all gone, you know. I shouldn't have done that, you know. And there were plenty of other things. I tried to grow, when I was trying to scale up my company, I hooked up with a company in West Virginia, and I probably spent, I don't know, $80,000 just trying to make a couple of pieces of furniture in West Virginia where the labor was cheaper, right? So I would give the engineering to the gentleman in West Virginia. He would put it in with his group of people there. They'd make the stuff. My guys would go get it, and then we'd bring it back here. Well, every time we brought that furniture back, something would be wrong. There'd be a piece of, you know, there were no tracks, right? Or he'd say, well, we don't have any slides, you know, or we're out of hinges, or, you know, we didn't have the legs, you know. And so every time that furniture would come in, I would end up paying for it, and then I would have to fix it, or I would have to find the freaking hardware for it, you know, because we were just a little bit more capable. And I let that thing go on for months because I was so busy here dealing with it, and it just lost my ass, you know. So I learned a big lesson there too. So point is that free money, you know, there was another one. There was the EIDL, there was what was the PPP, like that same thing with that one. Like all that money, everybody wasted that money, you know. And anyways, it is not good, you know. That's why I wrote that down. So all easy money is wasted, you know, because you just, if had I had to be a little more cautious with my dollars, I don't think I would have done any of that shit, and it would have been better. So anyway, so I hope that kind of fills people in on exactly where the lows are, the highs, all those kind of things, and that was in a span of like 4 years, you know. So life is long. 4 years is not very long. So I wrote that down. Okay, revenue streams for scaling a business. Okay, so we're going to talk about revenue streams. Okay, so currently we have several revenue streams, and the potential for YouTube to be a revenue stream is something to talk about as well. So right now, we sell vintage furniture, right? So you can go on there, SplendidCrow.com, and we have hundreds of pieces of furniture on there, right? Some of it we make here in-house. Other pieces are vintage, and we have them upstairs in our warehouse, and we obviously bring them down, we sand them, we paint them, we clean them all up, and we send them to your house, and they're delivered to your home, and it's a good way to make money. You know, that revenue stream is probably 40% of all of our dollars, you know, maybe a little less, so somewhere there. Then we have your furniture, right? So your grandma has a piece of furniture, you know, and you want to get it painted. You don't want to throw it away. It's got sentimental value, whatever. You don't want to put it in landfill, whatever your reason is. Call us, give you a price. We pick up your piece of furniture. We do the same process to it, and we take care of it. We paint it. We bring it all back to your house. That's another revenue stream, right? That revenue stream's probably like 10 to 20%. You know, we do, it might even be more. Like we do a lot of customer pieces, and especially over the years, designers really like having the option of taking their customers or their clients' pieces of furniture and having them repainted. It's people like that stuff. I mean, furniture is one of those things that has a lot of sentimental value to it. I don't know if you guys can relate to that, but it seems like furniture is one of those things that I hear it all the time. You know, and it's people have a real attachment to it. You know, so there's a revenue stream there, right? Then we have production furniture. This is furniture that we have lots of models for. We have lots of CNC engineering. We have lots of drawings. It's jigs. It's all worked out, right? So when someone orders a 65-inch Emily dresser, you know, I've made dozens of them, you know, so it's very easy for me to cut out all the parts, all the engineering. I know the engineering is good. I can give that to somebody who's not as skilled, and we can make that stuff, and that's a good product. That's probably a good 40% of our business is just making that kind of stuff. And then there's the custom side. which I mean, everyone knows about custom furniture. Custom furniture is very different. It takes a long time to do custom work, requires a lot more engineering, a lot more attention to detail. And anyway, so that's smaller. That's like 10% maybe. But the other revenue streams we have are we sell hardware, right? And we don't sell other people's hardware. We make our own hardware. We work with manufacturers in India who take our designs and they make all this stuff. There's different kinds of ways to make hardware. Whether it's there's like different kinds of casting you can do. There's laser cutting. There's forging. There's several different kinds of ways to make brass. And all we do is brass hardware. We don't dabble in any other kinds of hardware. So there's that. Then there's the blog. Okay, so a lot of people don't know this, but we have, obviously, the ResplendentCrow.com is the core business. We also have something called Resplendent Home. Resplendent Home is a blog or a web page, and it's basically text-based, right? It's got lots of things to read, lots of articles about our furniture, about like my wife working on our house, and stuff related to home decor. And that produces ad revenue, right? With I think it's called Mediavine and AdSense. And these are ways that we collect money by doing clicks, right? When people click on to read our article, there's ads showing, and you get paid for that kind of stuff, So there's money there, that's turned it into something, that's very small, that's like 1-2%, but it's growing, right? And I've talked about it before that blog, as I call it, is probably more important than. It's just as important as the website, and that's a little counterintuitive to people because the website is where we sell everything, but that blog is what allows the Resplendent Crow to show up in organic searches so much. We don't have to pay nearly as much in advertising as we would otherwise pay, because when people do searches, a lot of times that blog shows up, right? If you type in pink dresser, that blog is going to show up. You type in, blue china cabinet, whatever, painted china cabinet. You type in painted furniture, lacquered furniture, high gloss furniture. That blog shows up and immediately shows them the Resplendent Crow. So that thing's been huge. Even though it does produce a ton of money on the ad side, the traffic that it drives to Resplendent Crow is incredible. So I think that's really important. So that's a revenue stream we're growing, and we're going to continue to work on that thing and put posts out and keep that content going out. Okay. So another thing that we're working on is we're working on email marketing, which is something we've never done before. It's kind of old school. There's not much to it. But again, like the blog, that email marketing really brings eyeballs to the Resplendent Crow. So I think that's going to be a big thing for us. But that's kind of where the revenue streams are, to be quite honest with you. And that's the stuff that I want to focus on. I don't want to focus on just scaling up the company and selling more furniture per se. I want to sell the right furniture, and I want to sell the right priced furniture. And those things are very different, So anyway, so how much? We're at 27 minutes. Okay, good. So I wrote that down. So another thing I wrote down is my scaling story. I told the scaling story to everyone, and I hope people can. I hope that's a unique story, at least coming from somebody like myself, who's kind of just a normie. I think the story itself is quite common, but my perspective, I hope, is unique. I guess that's a better way to put it. Last thing I wrote down is digital products versus physical products. Okay, and this is one of the things that a lot of people don't talk about, or I shouldn't say they don't quite understand what's really happening. Okay, so when you see somebody on YouTube make a piece of furniture, right? You're watching them make it. It's really cool. They're funny. They're entertaining. You see them making that piece of furniture. They're not selling that piece of furniture. What they're doing is they're hoping that 1 million people see that piece of furniture and 100 of them will buy the drawing for it, right? And over the years, as people see that video, because digital content lives forever, right? So as the years go by, people will see that content and they will purchase that product, right? That drawing, right? And they will go into their store and buy their koozies, and they will buy their, whatever t-shirts, because again, that stuff is there forever. Although a t-shirt is a physical product, they're not making it, right? They're just ordering it from China, and China brings it here, and then you ship it out. It might even be drop shipped, who knows? But people aren't trying to make physical products anymore. They want to make digital products because they live forever, right? You produce it once, and you can sell it in perpetuity. And that's what the whole YouTube game is all about, right? Which is, so a person doing a stream like this, we're not trying to sell you anything. Yeah, because I know people aren't going to buy Resplendent Crow furniture. I mean, it's maybe some people, I get it. I shouldn't say that they won't, but it's quite expensive. I can't even afford my own furniture. But the truth is that physical products are very difficult to make. And when you have to make something over and over again to get paid, it's too difficult for most people. And that's why a lot of people don't have furniture companies. And that's why I do the stream, to show people what this is, how it works, and kind of the behind the scenes of having a furniture company and a paint company, because it's a lot of freaking work, So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. That's the bulk of what I wanted to talk about today. And I think I've covered everything. That takes care of all my notes. So I really appreciate everyone hanging out on the stream, and I don't see any questions that I haven't addressed. So I'm going to assume that everyone is doing their own thing or got everything they wanted out of the stream. And we'll do it again tomorrow. Tomorrow is What's in the Shop. And we'll do that, like I said, between 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 10, 12, something like that. And we'll serve What's in the Shop. I got big deliveries tomorrow. I got a big China cabinet I got to get done. And yeah, I got 2 China cabinets. But I got all kinds of fun stuff to show you guys. Lots of painted furniture, and we'll do that all tomorrow. So I hope everyone has a great day, and I will yak till later.